Did you know that in one country it's illegal to be seen frowning? Or that somewhere else you could get in trouble for handling a salmon suspiciously? Laws are supposed to make sense, right? Well, today we're diving into a world where logic takes a holiday and the rule book is truly bizarre. From a law that was created to prevent people from being poor to a law that makes it illegal to have a plan B because it might offend people who are trying their best to stick to plan A. We're bringing you the most ridiculous laws from around the world that leave you scratching your head and wondering why. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be amazed by the weird and wacky world of laws that don't quite make sense. And if you like this video, stay tuned for more, because we've got a lot more where that came from. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're exploring the fascinating world of laws that you didn't know you were breaking. From smiling requirements to pigeon feeding bans, these regulations might surprise you. So let's dive in and uncover the hidden legal landscape that governs our daily lives. Let's kick things off in Milan, Italy. Picture this. You're strolling through the fashion capital, taking in the sights, soaking up the atmosphere, maybe having a bad day. But if you're caught frowning, you might technically be breaking the law. An old city regulation, dating back to Austro-Hungarian times, actually requires citizens to smile at all times, except at funerals or hospitals. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't that a bit ridiculous? How can someone be legally obligated to smile? Well, apparently, it's all about maintaining a certain public decorum. The law, officially known as the Decreto 838, was originally put in place to ensure that visitors to Milan had a pleasant experience in the city. According to local officials, the intention was to make sure that people who came to Milan left with good memories and a positive impression. And what's more cheerful than a city full of smiling faces? While the law may seem like an oddity today, a relic of a bygone era, it's important to remember the historical context. Milan, like many European cities, has a rich history that has shaped its culture and traditions. During the Austro-Hungarian Empire's rule, maintaining a positive and polite society was highly valued. This law is just one example of how those values were reflected in the everyday lives of people living in Milan. But the impact of this law goes beyond just historical context. It raises interesting questions about the nature of happiness and the role of the government in regulating it. Can a law really make you happy? Is it ethical for the government to dictate how its citizens should feel? These are complex questions that have no easy answers. In the end, the Milanese have a choice. Smile and be fined if you frown. It's a light-hearted yet thought-provoking look at a city's efforts to balance tradition with the happiness of its people. So next time you find yourself in Milan, don't forget to bring along your smile. You're not just visiting a beautiful city, you're participating in a unique experiment in happiness. Coming up next, we'll turn our attention to the feathered friends that share our urban spaces. Did you know that feeding pigeons in some cities could land you in hot water? That's right. Certain cities have banned the feeding of pigeons and other birds, citing various reasons from public health concerns to the preservation of historical monuments. What's the deal with pigeon bans? Let's explore the surprising reasons behind them and how they impact our nature connection. It's time for another installment of Now for one that sounds like it came straight out of a Monty Python sketch. In the UK, specifically under the Salmon Act of 1986, it is illegal to handle salmon under suspicious circumstances. Yes, you heard that right. While it sounds hilarious, this law actually targets poachers and illegal fishing. If you're seen lurking by a river at night with a large, wet, flapping fish and no fishing gear, you might just be deemed suspicious. It's a quirky way of saying, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and you're hiding it suspiciously under your coat, it's probably illegally caught salmon. The law reflects the long history of fishing as a vital industry and pastime in places like Scotland, where salmon is almost legendary. Handling salmon under suspicious circumstances carries a fine of up to £5,000. That's around $6,300 Canadian, or 7,500 American. But it gets weirder with no 3. Did you know that in Canada it's legal to marry your cousin? Yes, you can. In fact, despite what you may have heard, there's no law in Canada prohibiting marriage between first cousins. This is because the legal system in Canada follows English common law, which allows first cousins to tie the knot. However, there are a few caveats. Marriage between first cousins is legal, but second cousin marriages are only legal if both parties are under 18. And third cousin marriages are legal only if one person is under 18 and the other is at least 12. Additionally, each province has its own set of rules regarding marriage. So it's important to check with provincial authorities to ensure everything is above board. Despite the legality of such unions, it's worth noting that marriage between close relatives is relatively rare. Between 2006 and 2021, only about 100 marriage licenses were issued annually to couples who are first cousins. That's a small number considering Canada's large population. But hey, if you love your cousin and want to get hitched, go for it. Just make sure you follow the rules. Now we all know that Canada loves its beer, but did you know that in 2022, a whopping 99.9% of all beer brewed in Canada was made using barley? Yep, you heard that right. Out of the roughly 24 billion liters of beer produced in Canada that year, a mind-boggling 23.9 billion liters were made with barley. That means that over 99% of beer in Canada is technically a barley product. But why is this? Well, it all has to do with the type of malt used in the brewing process. Malt is simply dried and germinated grain, and different grains can be used to create different flavor profiles in beer. For example, wheat is often used to make Belgian and German-style ales, while rye is a popular choice for those looking to add a bit of spice to their brew. But for whatever reason, Canadian brewers overwhelmingly prefer barley, which makes sense given that Canada is one of the world's largest producers and exporters of barley. Plus, barley has a higher starch content than most other grains, which makes it ideal for creating the kind of full-bodied beers that many Canadians seem to enjoy. So while it may be surprising to learn that nearly all beer in Canada is made from barley, it shouldn't be a shock given the country's preference for full-bodied beers and its status as a major barley producer. Cheers. This is part 3 of Weird Laws You Didn't Know You Were Breaking. And today we're heading to Arizona, USA, believe it or not. It's illegal to allow a donkey to sleep in a bathtub after 7 p.m. Donkeys are not allowed to be in bathtubs at all. Actually, but I'll explain. Back in the 1920s, a rancher in Kingman, Arizona, had a donkey that liked to take naps in an old bathtub. One day, a local dam burst, causing a flood that swept the donkey, still in its tub, miles down a canyon. The town had to spend a lot of money and resources to rescue the poor animal. So to stop any more donkeys from drowning in bathtubs after 7 p.m., they made it illegal. Because of this, the only time a donkey can legally be in a bathtub is between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. This is one of the weirdest laws ever made, but it's also one of the most specific. I'm glad that this law exists to protect our donkey friends from drowning, but I'm also glad that I don't live in Arizona. In Australia, particularly in Queensland, it is apparently illegal to transport hay in the trunk of your car. But get this, you can transport it in a taxi. I don't know about you, but that law makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Maybe it's an old regulation that was put in place to stop people from transporting hay in the back of their cars because it could catch fire, and then the whole car would go up in flames. I don't know. But in this day and age, surely we can find a way to transport hay that doesn't involve setting our cars on fire. And if taxis are allowed to have hay in their trunks, then surely it's safe to assume that they're also equipped with the necessary safety features to prevent said hay from catching fire in the first place. It's a bit of a head-scratcher, this one. But hey, at least it's not as baffling as why a platypus, a creature that lays eggs but nurses its young, exists. If that doesn't make you question everything you know about the natural world, I don't know what will. Finally, let's head to Serporinx, France. In 2008, the mayor of this small town issued an edict making it illegal to die within the town limits unless you already owned a burial plot in the local cemetery. Now, this might sound like a joke, but it's actually a true story. The cemetery was full, and they couldn't acquire any more land to expand it. So the mayor got a little creative with the threat of severe punishment for anyone who dared to die within the town limits without a plot. Now, this isn't about controlling death, obviously, but it is about what happens when bureaucracy goes wild. It's a small town in France with a big problem: no room for the dead. It's a bizarre situation that only the French could have come up with, and it's just another example of how even the most mundane things can go hilariously wrong in the country. So remember, if you're ever in Serporinx, France, be sure to behave. Because if you don't, you might just find yourself in a very sticky situation. From smiling mandates to suspicious salmon, the world's strange laws are more than just punchlines. They're bizarre snapshots of history, culture, and the unexpected ways societies have tried to maintain order. And here's the most surprising fact: many of these laws are still technically enforceable. So what other strange rules do you think are lurking in the dusty corners of legal books around the globe? And what does it say about us that we cling to these legislative oddities? In Albania, a donkey can only be sentenced to death if it has committed a crime. In ancient Rome, chariot drivers could only be punished with fines. The value of a woman's life was literally worth a cow's life. And in colonial times, the King of England's wife could only be impeached with a minimum of 40 signatures. Tell us the weirdest law you've ever heard of in the comments below. And if you were amused or amazed by these legal peculiarities, hit that like button and subscribe for more facts that unravel the truly wild world we live in.